Welcome to Fitness Business Secrets. Today I've got my good friend Jackson Chen. Jackson, welcome.
Oh, always a pleasure to be here, Jimmy.
And today, guys, we're just going to be covering 3 signs that you should be using automations in your business at a starting point or potentially utilizing them a little bit more. Now, what our promise is for you today is that we're going to cover like 3 basic things that you should be thinking about in terms of automation. But when you start to implement this within your business, you're going to have more time to be able to do higher value tasks within your business. And you're also going to get more done because on the Fitness Business Secrets, guys, you guys listen. I know that you're absolute go-getters who dominate. You want to achieve more. You want to grow your business. And the business that gets the most work done generally outperforms the ones who don't. And that's where utilizing automations is what the very smartest fitness business owners are doing on the planet at the moment. Now, Jackson, just a little bit in your backstory. Why did you kind of get into, this level of detailed automations that you're at the moment? What was kind of the starting point for you?
I think that's I think for me, I think you may hit the nail on the head just then. Like you're talking about, we get really busy with different tasks. And what got me really deep diving into it was the fact that I realized I was so busy doing so many different things, but I wasn't necessarily spending my time on the high value task I should be doing. Like there's a lot of things I was doing. I was really, really busy as a fitness professional. You got so many things you're currently doing in a gym, growing consults, classes, and so on and so on. But it comes to a point in the business when you're trying to grow, and I was exactly the same point. It's like I'm spending all these time entering data and copying and pasting and manually putting things into my database, emailing manually, all the things I was doing. I realized when you do a little edit or audit of your time, there weren't high value tasks. So it's like, if I'm not spending my time on a high value task, how can I possibly grow my business? So that's when I got into, so how can I maximize my time, and got into automation, got into things that are potentially taking things off my plate, but not necessarily adding more cost to the business.
Yeah, and I remember, I'm not sure if you're the same, but when I was like training in the gyms, I initially valued my time at $118 an hour when I was doing one-on-one. So I'm like, if I'm doing this data entry, I really could be training someone.
Yeah.
But then when I started to actually close sales, I was like, well, look, I can meet up with someone for 15 minutes and close them on, $199 package, which leads into $2,000. So I started valuing my time a lot more. And that kind of made it really like real for me when I'm like, why am I messaging, these people or like doing these email sequences when you can just like automate it, make your life easy, which actually gives you more time to do the high value tasks. Were you a little bit similar? What was your journey on like valuing your time?
100%. Like it was exactly the same thing. It was like all of a sudden you go from like thinking like you have to do everything to the point where it's like, hang on, if I close another, say 6 months deal, this is going to be worth 2K to the business. If I don't have the time to do that, how can I possibly gain those? This could be a 15-minute phone call. I could be closing a $400 deal over the phone, 30-minute consult in person, closing a $2,500 deal. So it's like, well, then it's like, what do I do? How do I value my time? And how do I make sure I can have those time slots available to do those things I need to be doing?
100%. And guys, we're about to dive into it, but we're going to give a huge shout out to our main man, Frank Matina. So he's getting 50% of his leads to AutoBook. And Jackson, do you remember your life before automations with like manual texts and emails and phone calls? It was crazy. It was wild, wild west back then.
It's a wild west. I mean, it's like you just got to do everything, right?
a time-consuming avalanche of repeated manual tasks. Now,
exactly.
Frank was having like a little issue like a couple of months ago. He was getting a lot of leads, didn't have, automations all set up, had a call with Jackson, boom, hooked up ACR properly. And he is absolutely flying at the moment, to a case where he just wants to increase his ad spend and grow faster. Because when you have that many of leads, like auto booking without any sales follow up, he actually has a full-time job as well. So he's just like, it just saved him hours and hours and hours into the night. Absolutely changed his business in a very, very short period of time as well. I think it took about an hour to get all that hooked up for him, right?
100%. It doesn't take long at all. And it's just a very simple process. And what you said was very true. Like even just to be able to get that 50% auto book, that's probably an hour to 2 hours saved, if not more. Like, and probably and more also, so.
And we can talk about time management to you guys all you want, but also the mental headspace. Like when you come in for my people watching, the sales savages, when you're on the hook there, you've got 30 to 40 leads, and you know that you've got to do 80 calls that day, it's like, all right, I'm in for a big day. So when you get those easy bookings where you just got to text them a couple of times to turn up, you just take that every single damn day of the week. It's absolutely
100%.
bonkers.
I used to love it when I come on Monday morning after the weekend, get like 6 calls booked on the diary. Go, cool, let's close these 6. Even though I've closed 3 out of 3, whatever, maybe 50%, 3 out of 6, is like you're in a high because like I just closed 3 deals first thing in the morning. I haven't called my cold leads yet. So if you're a lot more motivated as someone who's doing the consultation and making sales, like, okay, cool, I've done my KPI, I can really just call these and dial them through without feeling this grind of I got another 20 calls I got to make to try and make one sale. It does make a massive difference mentally.
So let's dive into the nuts and bolts of the convo. So guys, right now, if you're under 100 members, you're probably doing absolutely everything in your business. At the moment, you don't have a massive team, so you need to take notes and be able to implement this stuff. If you're over 100 members and you want to scale a high 6-figure, 7-figure, maybe multi 7-figure fitness business like I did, you need to really harness this stuff. It is an absolute non-negotiable for the total savages, but very important for everyone listening. Now, in their fitness businesses, mate, they're probably doing a lot of repetitive manual tasks. Now,
Absolutely.
Just to give people a bit of perspective, what are some of the repetitive manual tasks that are commonly outsourced to automations, just so the guys have a bit of background?
I mean, to start off with, just the manual entry of leads into a database, into a
I remember we used to do it on
like
Google Drive, and like there was each month and you had to color code it and mark it off when you called them and stuff. It was time consuming.
It's just a simple process, even just like being able to get that all hooked in automated so that it's all capturing from one place to the next without you have to manually enter anything, whether it be if someone was walking in off your website, off your landing page, off your Google page, you name it, doesn't matter. As long as you're manually entering something into a CRM, it's time consuming, it's repetitive. You can automate those processes. You can optimize that entering process to give you that extra half an hour back in your week to begin with. That's just a starting point.
And also as well, so as a member in the inner circle, talking about missing data. So the only thing worse, like let's just be honest, 99% of people listening to this probably aren't tracking every lead they come through. And the people that are doing it manually are wasting a lot of time, leads to actually not doing it properly. And a lot of things, when you're not using, it's hard enough with automations to track it. It's nearly impossible to track it without automations unless you're fully switched on every single day and you're allocating that time to do it. And what are like maybe 1 or 2 other things that they're doing really repetitively in their business that might be good to, potentially use automations for?
I mean, auto response and the ability to send out the calendar link, because that's kind of the second step, right? The automatic send them a calendar link to book a call with you. Those 2 things alone is enough to really make a big difference. Even just have those things in place, because they're repetitive. Because I want to book a call with you, you got to cut and paste it from somewhere or have a shortcut in your computer to send them that link. But that can be done automatically as well too.
Yeah, so we covered this like last week, guys. It is no longer cool if you listen to this podcast and don't have a booking link. It's not cool. Just get off the podcast. I want you off. I don't want you to listen ever again until you get a booking link. Like Jackson, I was having a chat. Someone was doing some really good DM stuff with me last week, and they're trying to get me on a call for it's actually for a little YouTube thing I'm focused on.
Oh yeah.
And the cat didn't even have a booking link. So he got me down there. I'm like, yeah, I'll have a chat. And then, he's like, what time are you free on Friday? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, you're in America, I'm in Australia. What you want to do? Time zone changer and shit. It was absolute rookie hour. It might've cost that dude like 10 to 15 grand. So not having a booking link it's no longer okay. It's not cool on the podcast.
I totally agree with you.
If I ever have to chat to you guys and you don't have a booking link to send me, even though I have one, it's just, we're not chatting. Not cool, not happening, not happening anymore. So the booking link's a big one. And also as well, just some manual like text. Like we know David Pugh getting 65% of auto bookings. That first auto text when people opt in, like 5 minutes later, if they don't auto book, just like saves massive amount of time. Because guys, we know like Jackson was so good at his sales calls, right? You're good, you're really consistent, but no one's perfect. So you might get a lead at 10 at night. If they don't auto book, at least you've got that text going out and you're not waiting sometimes 12, 24 hours. Some of the, worst gym owners might even not contact them for like 2 to 3 days. And let's not go there today. It can be another episode. And when we're just like looking at these like repetitive tasks, because you've coached hundreds and hundreds of people with your amazing software,
Mm.
for people that just wanting to take action on this, what are probably like the first two that very commonly when people start with you, what are the first two that you implement to get our fitness business owners a little bit more time and a little bit more freedom from these repetitive manual tasks?
I mean, the first two in terms of the texting or what they need to implement?
Yeah, just like first two that they implement in terms of like systems. Is it like
Straight away,
booking?
booking link is one that can
Yep.
automatically send that message out. And number the first one before that, just making sure wherever you're collecting your leads from, you automatically put that into something, whether it be a CRM or Google Sheet or whatever that need to be. You got to take that manual task away from your wherever you can, and
Yep.
really looking at those two things to begin with.
And they pretty simple. Like say, like for them to set up, does that take like a week, a month, an hour? Like how quickly do you get this set up for them?
If you can do it 30 minutes, it's done. It's repetitive.
Bang,
If it's done, it's done. Once you set it up once, the great thing about automation is that when you do it right the first time, it just keeps going.
It's done forever.
It's done forever.
Also, it's like the best staff member ever. So we had public holiday straight day. And like, so we have full-time staff. And like, I can't remember the last time I took a public holiday off. So I'm not public holiday prone. My staff members who are listening to this, I'm glad that you had a public holiday off. It's all good. You guys are staff members, not owners. But like, I was just thinking, I did a podcast on it. I was like, well, my automations don't have public holiday off. You know what I mean? They just work 7 days, 365 days. And again, your staff need to have public holidays off. They need to rest. They need to recharge, all that good stuff. But not automation, baby. There's no rest. There's no recharge. There's no firing it up to, hit its KPIs today. Just fucking does its job. It's amazing.
Exactly.
No weekly team meeting with your
no, it just happens
L10 with your automation.
It just happened. The great thing is they just set it up and it's just there working in the background.
Well, I'm a big fan of automations. I'm like an introvert, so I don't like really like talking to people overall. So it's like my ACR system is just boom, me and him just do its thing. But mate, with the difficulty scaling manual tasks, which is massive, and if I can lead with a story in this, my biggest one is when we started to push our lead generation. Is I remember we used to like call our leads in the morning, and then I would manually send text. I used to use keyboard shortener in your phone. Did you ever use that?
Yep. Yeah,
I had text 1, text 2, all the way out to text 10. Then would have to send them emails. Now, manually sending emails in the afternoon was insanely boring. And it was always at the end of my day. And I'll just send them off, just flicking them off. And again, you have to have your signatures, like email 1, email 2. It was an absolute nightmare. So that was like nearly impossible to scale. And like you could scale it if you're willing to put in massive amounts of hours. I've got to be honest, a lot of the time, Jackson, the emails slip through to the wicket keeper. You know what I mean? It's just like, fuck it. Now, that's kind of my favorite thing in terms of automations, because you can scale messages. You can just get 100 leads in, they're going to get a message every morning, every afternoon. But is there any other difficulties you see with the amazing clients you have that they've had with scaling like certain manual tasks?
Yeah, I think one big one was there's another client we were talking about recently. They save about 10 hours a week of manual tasks from client onboarding. So they're onboarding a lot of clients coming on board. And they were doing all these because they wanted to give them a great experience. They were doing all these manual things on the back end. Before ACR was that they were doing all these manual tasks to send welcome messages, giving them what to expect next and how to get there. Just little things like that. They said they were able to automate all those processes, and then they were saving a good 10 hours a week in admin because these guys are doing the same thing every single time when they onboard a client. It's like, well, why not put that into the automation? They're getting all the information they need when they need it, how to do something in one go, and then now they can continue to onboard more clients. So
just make more money.
It's no longer. Exactly. It's no longer a stress to go. It's like I can't take any more clients because I'm too busy onboarding our current ones. And that's the one thing that I think that I want people to think about is that if I can save 2 hours, does that mean I can get 2 more clients, do more marketing, make more sales, have more revenue?
And in your kind of automations, you have like a pipeline. So when someone signs up, is it as simple as moving them over, saying that they've become a member and then automations fire? Is it as simple as that? Or is there like is it like 2 clicks of a button, 3 clicks? How does it
literally
work?
in the ways we set it up is that it's 2 clicks of the button and then everything takes over. You still know what product they've sold them, put a start date, and then you can move on to the next person.
How good's that? How long do you reckon that takes to do? Like in live action, like 30 seconds, 30
30
minutes?
seconds. And I was showing someone today, there was just a wrap. It's like, I can have a conversation on the phone, make a sale, take the payment from the platform, do 2 clicks, go to the next phone call. Then they know the emails are going out the day before. They're going to get a welcome package or welcome text on how to book something. They'll send them the links to download, videos to onboard, and they're given access to the portal at the same time. That's all in those 2 clicks. And in less than 10 seconds of doing that, they know they're going to get nurtured and get welcome. They're going to get all the things that they can provide high value service, but not having to take out a lot of their times.
Just so simple. And guys, also as well, if you're looking to scale without automations and do things manually, you know, if you get an internal staff member, it's very expensive to do this stuff. And also if you get a VA, Jackson, if you have, is automations cheaper than a VA? It would be, like, massively, right?
Yeah, huge. Yeah, I mean, VAs are fantastic. I mean, at the same time,
they're good. We love VAs.
Yeah, we love VAs. And automation is much cheaper. And 2, your VAs can do more if they are supported with the automation. Again, it's all about how much can you output with the time that you currently have.
Yeah. Yeah, because it does get quite expensive. I mean, like, I'd hate to track, because we had like sales staff and things like that. And this was like before all the automations world kind of came about, because we only started using this stuff towards like the last, 6 to 12 months of our journey. That's still 3 years ago here, guys. So is just tracking how much we were paying people to send texts and emails that could be done without them is kind of scary. How many thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars we wasted.
Well, 100%. I mean, was that each text and each person needs to follow average about 11 to 12 times. And that's probably a good 5 minutes per follow up. So it's a good hour you're spending on that person to acquire them. So when you actually really add it up, these days, if you want to pay a full-time staff to follow up your leads, the acquisition cost just gone skyrocket, probably doubled to what it actually really is if you're not doing it yourself.
Yeah, and a lot of people, so I'm blessed. I coach a lot of 7-figure business owners, multi-7-figure business owners in our boardroom program, but very beginner fitness business owners will track their cost of acquisition just on ads.
Correct.
But then as you get bigger and you have a team, it's like, okay, what's our cost of acquisition in terms of the amount of texts we send to get that client, in our sales commissions, in our delivery costs? So the bigger guys listening, so I know there is a lot of you, that's what we work on like heavily in the boardroom, but you've got to really map that out. At a basic level, your cost acquisition, but then look at like, okay, I just spend 1 hour calling, texting, emailing, I had to do that consult. And then your cost of acquisition like shrinks like very, very quickly. If you actually look at all the mechanics in getting that staff member to sign, especially if you're doing a lot of it manually as well. It's kind of crazy.
100%. And I think that's such a good point there, is that a lot of people don't take that labor time into consideration, because most, like you said, under 100 or just around 100 mark, you're not paying yourself.
Yeah, under 100 guys, like just track your cost of acquisition. But definitely, with the guys we have nearing 7 figures, well over 7 figures, like that's a level of detail they go to. But guys, if you're watching along and you're not near that level, just track basic metrics. You need to earn your right to detailed KPIs. You'd be better off doing some more marketing, doing some more sales, setting up your automations and tracking like crazy detailed metrics, especially if you don't have the systems to actually improve them as well.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally agree.
And mate, I have just one final question. This is actually for a client, so you don't mind if I ask you. I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right, here we go.
So he's a client based in Sydney. He wants to get a few more Google reviews for his business. So he has about 50 at the moment. He has a local competitor who shall not be named that we're going to smoke, but the other competitor has about between 150 and 160. Now, is there anything that I could pass on to him as his coach to help him get more Google reviews via automation? Is that possible at all?
100%. 100%. I mean, the Google review is probably one of the most basic things when you can automate. As soon as they become a client or they become a part of your client journey, you can put it into some sort of workflow that can send them that automated request. Hey, glad to have you on board, or maybe 2 weeks later saying, hope you're having a fantastic experience. Send us would you mind reviewing us? That's probably one thing that most people forget to do because they're too busy chasing new leads. So they don't go back into the old clients and go, hey, can you give us a review? So you do it on the moment they buy something, and also 2 or 3 weeks later when they're having a great experience with your service. And that can be done, mapped out in one go to have one workflow to saying when they're a new client, get reviews automatically 14 days later or something like that. And does not take much at all. And just, we have it set up in our system. So regularly we get 1 or 2 reviews coming back all the time because text goes out, email goes out, get a review.
And is it possible? So in our gyms, we used to manually text 3 people every single week. And that was a nightmare to do. But is there a way of like, you know, say after 21 days, we ask for a Google review, and is there a way in the workflow that you can send them reminders if they don't do it? Is that possible?
Yeah, you can. Yep. There are definitely ways you can do it. It's just the different ways of tracking those mechanisms. Like, you know, it's the great thing about automation. It's kind of like if you want to max something out, you just got to put the metrics in place to track, to have a source of point to say, okay, how do I keep track of this person? And you can do anything you want.
Perfect. Okay, guys, that is absolutely everything we're going to cover today. Just remember, below this episode, there's a couple of like free downloads that you can get. You can get access to our group, which Jax and I are in, also access to our 15 best downloads. And then also there's a link to book a call. But guys, just remember, on Fitness Business Secrets, we are action takers. Okay. I want to see that you guys are here. I want to see that you guys are listening. So inside our free group, Fitness Business Secrets, guys, I want you to come in and leave me a comment on what you learned from today and what you are going to action. Are you going to get rid of those like manual tasks? Definitely implement a booking link. Make sure that you can track all your leads. Potentially you're having difficulties, as myself and Jackson did, in scaling these manual tasks. Or potentially maybe you've outsourced some tasks to staff who you're paying, whether it's a VA or whether it's an internal staff member that you can take off their plate so they can do a higher value tasks. Is make sure you let us know in the group. We make these episodes so that we can help you. We want to see you guys absolutely dominate, because Jackson and I are on a mission to collectively coach 1 million people per day to reach their health and fitness goals. That's why we make these episodes. So leave us a comment in the group. We want to make sure that we know that you guys are listening. You guys have the best day. Bye-bye.